Let's talk now to Alan Miller, though, co-founder of the Together Declaration. Lots to talk about, Alan, and we haven't got a lot of time, I'm afraid. But one of the things we want to talk about is the government spending £403 million of UK taxpayers' money on interpretation and translation in various different government departments between 2020 and 2025. 300 contracts, ludicrous waste of money. They tell us we haven't got any money and they have to tax us more. They have to put taxes on farmers. You know, why don't they try and save a bit of money, Doge style, like Elon Musk's doing?
I think it's really important that we get a reckoning with what's going on with the public sector, Mike. There's so much inefficiency on the one hand, bureaucracy and ideology, and not enough front of line attention. So this is another example of a couple of things that we need to discuss and openly deal with in Britain, like the question of integration, the question of are people being welcomed into Britain and are people being encouraged to speak English or not? Where do we stand on these values and virtues of being British and the Enlightenment and all of these things that we talk about? And also, when we talk about, it's not just like for like, because obviously you could get like 11,000 junior doctors. If you replace this, you could get, you know, something like 10,000 border police. But it's a wider question about what we're actually doing. It's our political culture. It's what's going on in the public sector. It's similarly, you know, we know that there's been a lot of waste across the board, Mike. We know that billions were spent on lockdowns and on positions that were unnecessary and wrong. But we need to get a grip of all of this now. We know that ideology is being imposed across the board in the public sector, in education and elsewhere. We want a reckoning, a proper audit, accounting, and we need to assess how we make a lot of money in Britain, right? But we have an enormous amount of our resources that are being allocated and depleted. And I don't think the general public's happy about it. They keep voting and saying things about what they want and getting ignored. I think the other thing is that you see examples of like this current government who completely have no grasp of economics and are tone deaf. So when you do get an opportunity to deal with things financially, they then go and attack the heart of our economy, right? Whether that's in terms of businesses and family businesses or the farmers with IHT. So I think this is part of a package. This situation that we've got where you're not allowed to ask questions about things like translation services and the amount of money you're spending on it, because somehow if you do that, you're accused of being a racist or far right in the similar way that you talk about borders or the question of integration. But we need to assess and evaluate these things openly and honestly. Only last night, only yesterday, Mike, we saw a Democratic meeting attacked, where people were attacked, where we've got elected members of parliament, and yet this climate that we're creating where people chant Nazi or far right, which is actually what the Nazis did, attack democratic elections or democratic people. And we really now need to thrash this out. I think what Elon Musk has done in the States is fantastic with President Trump. I came back from DC, I interviewed people there. The sense of possibility of getting rid of the previous ways of doing things, of a can-do attitude that puts the public first, that has clear values and virtues. That's the kind of thing we need to have in Britain now, and I think the public really, really want it. And those that stand in the way of it are going to be seen to being responsible for the problem.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, ever since the Blair regime, really, we've had sort of bigger government, ever bigger government, growing existentially, exponentially, I should say. You know, the civil service now massively bigger than it used to be, more government advisors than we've ever seen, and we're supposed to just suck it all up. We're supposed to go, oh yeah, we need all this. We need all these people to tell us what to do. And the more and more that I see of Starmer's government, the more autocratic and kind of, you know, dictatorial they seem to be.
We've got this terrible situation, and if you take each of the different areas, if you take what's going on in the public sector generally, but in the National Health Service and elsewhere, where you've got a sclerotic bureaucracy full of ideology, inefficiencies, and yet the frontline delivery of the service and the actual experience of those people and the staff is enormously problematic. Plus, you've got questions of numbers, and we have to address these questions and how we allocate resources and who's here, how we assess and evaluate that. We originally, when everyone harks back to the post-war period, the 1945 subsequently, we had a safety net. Right now, working everyday people do not want constant subsidies. People are proud in Britain. They want to get on. They want to work. They want to work hard and earn money. But we've created a situation where there's possibilities for people just to be in that constant sort of position where they're like reliant on the state, where we've got too many people on all sorts of benefits and we don't pay enough as it happens, and companies aren't earning enough. We need to get rid of this situation. We need to get efficient. We need to have more than a scalpel. We need to kind of get rid of vast swathes of what we've got, a sclerotic public sector. We need to get accountability back at things, and we need to get wealth creation and investment in infrastructure, and we need to have the public engaged in that discussion, Mike.
Absolutely. Alan, listen, I couldn't agree more. We've got to run. Thank you very much indeed. We'll get you back on to talk some more about that. And